Best Buy's plan to stop scalpers is to become one. It looks like that Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is happening. Rockstar finally confirmed a big game that's coming soon, and is it about to get a whole lot easier to find a PS5? Let's find out in today's PlayStation News Update. So a couple weeks back, we talked about how Konami is actually looking to get back into making video games again, which is awesome news because despite the fact that they're not necessarily the best publisher out there, they happen to have some of the best game franchises out there. They've got Metal Gear Solid, they've got Silent Hill, they've got Castlevania, like 3 of my all-time favorite franchises were just sitting there at Konami being completely unused. And one of the biggest rumors that was coming out of that leak is that we're getting a full-on remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and it looks like that is for sure actually happening. So an employee over at a studio called Virtuous uploaded their resume to LinkedIn, and they said that they're working on a full-on remake of a AAA game. So the original website that announced this whole Konami comeback was Video Game Chronicle, and they also said that Virtuous was working on this Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. So now that we're seeing this resume that says they're working on a remake of a big AAA game, that basically confirms it to a lot of people, short of something like a games rating board rating or something like that. Like, we're as close as we can get to fully believing that Metal Gear Solid 3 is being remade, and it sounds awesome. They're redoing it in 4K, it's a ground up remake, they've been working on it since 2018, so we probably won't have to wait all that long to finally check this out. Now the rumor also suggests that we are going to see a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, and those are the two games that I want to see remade the most, because I feel like when you look at that trilogy, Metal Gear Solid 3 is obviously the newest, and it holds up the most out of those 3 games. The first game from a story and just level design perspective is incredible, but you know, in the gameplay department, it leaves a lot to be desired after how many years being on the market, right? Because if you look at the studio Sony just acquired, Bluepoint, they started out helping out other studios within Sony, then they remade some old Sony games, and now they're acquired by Sony and they're working on an original IP. Virtuous is in a very similar situation because while they're basically a port studio, they've also assisted on stuff like Uncharted 4 and other big Sony first-party games. So if they do this Metal Gear Solid 3 remake right, we could see their trajectory being very similar to Bluepoint. Now there's nothing to suggest that this Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is going to be exclusive to PlayStation, but we have heard that Sony is footing the bill for a return of Silent Hill, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is also at least a timed exclusive. Leading up to E3, Konami, if you guys remember, was actually supposed to have their own showcase this year like all the other big publishers, but really close to the event, they canceled it and said that they needed more time to get the games ready to be shown off. And if they're working on stuff like this, I guess I can see why they would take all the time they need, but these are big properties coming back, and if these are PlayStation exclusives, I feel like Sony really needs to convince Konami to say, hey, let's get these games out there, let's let people know that these games are coming, because the PS5's future is obviously good. We got God of War Ragnarok, we got Horizon Forbidden West, we got Gran Turismo 7, we got a ton of big games coming down the pipe, but if these games were piled on top of it, that would really look good, because Xbox, it seems like they're announcing new games every day, and while I know that at the end of the day, their quality won't necessarily be as good as what we see on Sony, Sony will just look better if they announce more banger games like a new Silent Hill or Metal Gear Solid. But yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on this Konami news. Apparently they're really rusty in the PR department because it seems like every time they're working on a new game, it leaks way before it's ever supposed to be announced, like we just saw with the Castlevania Advance Collection. Real quick guys, before we get into the next news story, I wanted to let you know that we have this awesome t-shirt down in the merch shelf. It says my DualSense is tingling, obviously inspired by Wolverine. Just kidding, it's inspired by Spider-Man. Make sure you check it out, and if you like it, maybe purchase one. So some big things have been happening over at Rockstar lately between canceling Agent and finally taking it off their website, and all of these rumors about a trilogy of GTA remasters featuring GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas. Anyway, that trilogy was finally announced as the real deal, but there's some weird stuff surrounding it. So later this year, you're going to be able to buy this trilogy of GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas. They're going to be cleaned up, but not necessarily be full-on remakes of the games, right? They're going to do some gameplay tweaking, they're going to do some graphic tweaking, but at the end of the day, it seems like they're going to look and feel like the PS2 versions of these games. Now, personally, that's a little disappointing to me. I like when remasters come out, right? I think it's cool. Alan Wake just came out as a remastered version. It looks and plays pretty well, but the difference between Alan Wake and something like GTA 3 is that Alan Wake came came out on the Xbox 360 and was already a little bit ahead of its time in terms of gameplay. The other games, the Grand Theft Auto games, they play like PS2 games, and they were the first big full-on open world remakes of big cities, right? That's the first time you saw an open world New York City. It's the first time you saw an open world Los Angeles or Miami. So, you know, they didn't necessarily look or play the best. They had good stories to back that up, and just driving around, cheating in guns, and flying a plane. All of that stuff made up for the fact that they weren't necessarily the best looking or controlling games. I don't think I'm gonna make anyone upset by saying that. And then the weirdness continues with where this is coming out. So on December 7th of this year, it looks like we're going to be able to play it on PS4. The Trilogy is going to be a full price game, which is also kind of weird. We're paying $60 for a bunch of PS2 games. Not necessarily sold on that just yet, but on PS5, it looks like we're probably going to have to wait till next year to get a box copy that has all these games on a disc. I can't imagine if they're just remakes of PS2 games, what's the deal here? Like, why do we need to wait a full year to get a disc copy of it on PS5? I'm pretty sure they could just change the art on the disc and no one would be the wiser, right? And then the big thing that's really bothering people about this is that these definitive editions of the games are going to become the de facto versions of these games. Honestly, guys, it's a weird time for some of the biggest publishers out there. Like with CD Projekt Red, they were coming off The Witcher 3. They had all this hype. Everyone was super excited. Everyone thought they could do no wrong, and then we got the complete disaster that is Cyberpunk. And now with Rockstar, they're coming off of Red Dead Redemption 2, which is widely considered to be one of the top 5 games ever made. People love that game. It's almost unanimous that that game is as close to perfect as you can get. So they follow it up by porting GTA 5 to the PlayStation 5 for full price, and they can't even do it right, where there's graphical issues in the trailers. They're really only doing that so they can charge full price for GTA Online once again. Like, it just doesn't make sense why these companies are so cool with killing their reputation. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this, but earlier this year, I think it might have been late last year, one of the lead guys from Rockstar, one of the Hauser brothers, the dude who wrote all of these amazing games that they put out, he left and started his own company. So there's some weird stuff going on over at Rockstar. We're gonna have to pay attention to it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a really clear and easy right way to do these remasters, which is to just fully remake the games because they're so old, and to not just make them quick cleanup jobs that may or may not even be that great, and then to delete the original versions from the store. Like, I don't know, man, that just doesn't seem like the right way to do it. Guys, I'm not surprising anyone when I say the biggest problem facing the PS5 right now is the fact that people are still having trouble getting them almost a year out from the console's original release date. Now, I know it's really a combination between low production numbers, high scalper numbers, and just overall insane demand for this console, because people really want PS5s. And a few months ago, Jim Ryan said that they were working on trying to figure out ways to get more PS5s on store shelves, and they're putting their money where their mouth is, because they're partnering up with TSMC over in Taiwan to build a new factory to make more PS5 chips. Because I saw this news article a few weeks ago where they were saying, yeah, people from Sony are calling up these chip factories every day and making sure they're going to hit their production targets because they've been missing production targets so much. So if Sony is getting to the point where they have to spend all this money to build a factory just so they can get those chips out there, that shows that they really want to get PS5s into people's hands, and I like that. Sony's been getting a lot better at just making sure they get the partnerships they want by spending money, and I honestly think even though Microsoft is buying up a lot of great studios like Bethesda, I like what Sony's doing a little bit more. They want to get Discord on the PS5, so instead of just buying Discord outright and making it their own thing and causing a whole PR nightmare, they just invest a lot of money into Discord and make themselves partners with Discord. So you know that Discord is going to show up on PS5 before the Xbox Series X, instead of not showing up on the Xbox Series X at all. Sony's being a good guy there, and I like that. They also did the same thing with Epic Games. They wanted to know what was going on with Fortnite. They wanted to get some partnerships there, like putting, Kratos in Fortnite. So instead of just buying Epic Games outright, Sony does a partnership with them and invests in the company. It's a much smarter way, in my opinion, than buying a company wholesale and saying, yep, you can just make the same stuff you were already making, but now you get to do it exclusively for Xbox. Like, there's not a lot of forethought there, it doesn't seem like, in terms of what these companies are going to end up putting out once they're bought. Like the way Sony's doing it, these companies can operate the same way they are and Sony will make money off of it, but the way Xbox is doing it, you see stuff like Psychonauts 2, where that game was promised to be coming to PS5, so then they have to go through the PR nightmare of only releasing a PS4 version that's not enhanced for the PS5. Like, you see what I mean here? Like, it's good that Xbox is buying a ton of studios because they're bolstering their first party options after not being able to compete with Sony for an entire generation. But yeah, I like the way Sony's doing it because it seems like it's going to help them out more in the long run, and it's not going of cause problems where people can't play games that they want to play on the console they want to play it on. Now, unfortunately, factories obviously take a long time to build, and the goal here is to have this one open by 2024. So it's likely not going to affect us in the short term in terms of being able to get a PS5, but where it will help us out is with getting a PS5 Slim or a PS5 Pro, because it's already hard to make just one console for Sony, and in the future they want to have two at the same time between the Slim and the Pro. They're going to need to beef up their ability to make chips for both of those consoles, especially if they're different SKUs that are running games differently, right? Like they're going to have completely different construction from the ground up. But yeah, over the past few months, I've honestly noticed a lot more PS5 pre-orders going up, both on PS Direct and also at Best Buy and Amazon and all these different stores. It seems like people are having just a little bit easier of a time to get these consoles. So I'm glad that Sony is just doing it instead of just giving us mouthpiece talk, right? They're not just saying, yeah, we're aware of the scalpers, we're gonna work on making more chips, you guys will be able to get PS5s. It seems like they're actually doing it and not just patting themselves on the back for it. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, speaking of not being able to get a PS5, it seems like Best Buy is trying to figure out a way that they can kind of beat the scalpers. And honestly, I gotta commend them for just going ahead and becoming scalpers themselves. Best Buy has obviously been racking their brain trying to figure out the best way to sell these things to not scalpers, because obviously if Best Buy is selling them for $500 and a scalper is selling it for $1,000, the executives over at Best Buy are not going to be happy about that potential missed profit that they have on their hands. So what Best Buy is doing is taking their philosophy of selling you a protection plan you'll never use on your PS5, and they're combining it with the money they're losing from scalpers who use bots to buy up all the PS5s that go up on their site, and created this plan called Total Tech. Before I tell you the price of this, I'm going to tell you what you get with it, because honestly it seems like it might be kind of worth it for the right person. So one thing you get with it is if you buy a new TV or appliance from Best Buy, they'll come to your house for free and deliver it and set it up for you. That's pretty cool. And if you're an Apple user who buys their iPads, their MacBooks, their iPhones, their Apple Watches at Best Buy, you also get Apple Care Plus through this Total Tech plan, which is actually kind of crazy because on its own, that's kind of expensive. And then finally, of course, you get 24-hour tech support, free delivery on every other item, all the standard stuff they've had for a long time now. But the price of this thing is crazy. You gotta pay $200 a year to get this plan. But the thing you're gonna want it for is being able to get a PS5, because it's a whole lot easier now to get into these shorter queues and smaller pools of people at Best Buy if you have this Total Tech plan already on your account. So if you pay the $200, you'll have a better opportunity to buy a PS5 for $500, ultimately making the PS5 $700, which is around what they're scalping for right now on places like eBay and StockX. But if you watched my last video and you heard about this auto tone mapping thing that Sony is adding to the PS5, and you're like, man, I really want to spend $9,000 on a new Bravia TV, you could get this plan, buy the TV at Best Buy, have them come and set it up at your house, also buy a PS5, have them come set it up at your house as well. You'll get free delivery on the item, and you'll probably get a warranty with it that's a little bit better than the one that comes with the console and the TV. You'll be good to go with your Sony competition to Dolby Vision. There's also a very specific person who should look at something like this, and that's someone who's okay spending $700 on StockX, because if you're going to buy a scalped PS5 anyway, you should probably do this Best Buy option so that you get all these extra benefits on top of your PS5 that you're paying $700 for. I mean, you might not end up using all of them, but still, you're getting something for that extra $200 you're spending, which is good. And guys, it actually looks like there's a little bit of a secret hack with this service. So if you're already looking for a PS5 and you really want to get one and you have the $200 extra to spend, you can actually cancel within 60 days and get all of your $200 back. So if you're really desperate here and you want to roll the dice, because we don't actually know if this is going to work, you can sign up for the service, buy your PS5, and then cancel it as long as you do it within 60 days and get your $200 back. Now obviously you're putting that extra $200 on hold, and there's no guarantee that you'll be able to do this and get it back and keep the PS5 that you got, but hey, it's worth a shot, especially if you're still having bad luck at getting a PS5. Honestly guys, it's kind of hard to fault Best Buy here because they're really the last company doing it. Amazon recently let people who have Prime buy PS5s before people who don't. PlayStation Direct obviously gives people who have PlayStation Plus a way to buy PS5s faster than people who don't. And GameStop's been running this scam for a long time with power-up rewards, letting those people have the opportunity to buy PS5 bundles before everyone else. So at the end of the day, if you're the kind of person who's already considering spending $700 on a PS5 on StockX, you should look into this Total Tech thing at Best Buy, because even if they have some block on it, so if you buy a PS5, you can't cancel this service within 60 days and get your money back, you're at least getting some benefits from Best Buy, a company that's probably not going to go away in the next like 6 months, right? And you'll be able to take advantage of those benefits if you ever need them. And if you're already buying an iPhone and you get the Apple Care Plus through Best Buy, then in the future you can keep going back and getting it through them if you keep the service anyway. So yeah, there's some benefits here you're getting that you don't get if you buy the PS5 from a scalper. And at the end of the day, if you buy it from Best Buy, you're not encouraging the scalpers to buy more PS5s, and more people have an easier time to get them. I personally don't care, but if you're one of those people who wants to have a little good deed to give your angel on your shoulder or whatever the hell, I don't really know what this analogy is, that might help you sleep at night. Anyway guys, that's all the PlayStation news I have for you today. Make sure you let me know what you think of all of this down in the comments below, especially if you're going to try out this new Best Buy service. Remember to subscribe and set your notifications to all as well. As always guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.